I will call this meeting to order of the Senate Judiciary Committee in the 81st Legislative Session. Today is March 17th, 2021. It is St. Patrick's Day, when we honor St. Patrick, who lived in Ireland in the 4th and 5th century and banished all of the snakes. And with that, I would ask the Secretary please take the roll.
Vice Chair Cannizzaro.
Please mark Vice Chair Cannizzaro present when she arrives, and I will also try to make note of it.
Senator Orenshaw.
Here.
Senator Harris.
Here.
Senator Settlemyre.
Here.
Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Pickard.
Here.
Chair Scheibel.
Here. Thank you. And with us today, we have Patrick Guinan from the LCB. While not a canonized saint, he has certainly performed some miracles for this committee, so we appreciate his presence today and always. And we are sadly missing Nick Anthony, our committee counsel, because he is still busy writing all of the bills that we insist on introducing this year. But as always, he remains available for questions, and we will touch base with him after the meeting if there's anything that we need legal to answer. Other than that, I have no housekeeping matters, and we are ready to move on to our first and only hearing of the day, which is SB 165. We are joined by a special guest, one of our colleagues who does not sit on this committee, Senator Ben Kiekefer, and I will turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Chair Scheibel and members of the committee. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. For the record, my name is Ben Kiekefer. I represent Senate District 16, and I'm very happy to be here to present Senate Bill 165, legislation creating the Nevada Esports Commission. And let me start by saying this right from the start, that I am new to this. Esports is not my subject matter expertise, and I've spent a lot of time over the recent months speaking with people who do have this as their expertise, and I'd like to thank them for their advice and counsel while I've tried to help craft this bill. I can't name them all, but I'm truly appreciative of all of their effort. And I want to start by saying what I've always said about this legislation, that this is at its heart and soul an economic development bill to me. This is an effort to bring esports events, tourism, and business to our state, plain and simple. And anything that works counter to that goal is something we shouldn't do. My vision is that by working with the esports ecosystem, we can create a structure that provides value to publishers, event organizers, players, and everyone else involved in these events that will make them want to choose Las Vegas and Nevada over any other place on the planet. Nevada has a long history of successfully doing this, working closely with new and growing industries to create safe space for them to operate and thrive. Our probably most recent example is the Nevada Athletic Commission, which is the model upon which this bill is based. And it played really a crucial role in the growth and development of mixed martial arts generally, but also the UFC more specifically. And that's the sort of vision that I think we can have dynamic of this bill as we think about it today. So the bill is an effort to take the next step and bring more people, a new type of audience to Las Vegas, to Nevada, by creating this body, which is designed to be light touch regulation and sanctioning for the esports competitions in this state. The goal is that by working with industry to help them prevent and solve problems, Nevada will become a destination for esports events, esports businesses and companies, as well as remote workers who would actively seek exit from other jurisdictions. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of esports and some of the numbers to show why this is so significant for us. And then I've got a panel of experts who are going to talk a little bit about the industry as well as tourism in Las Vegas. And then I'll walk you through the bill with the proposed amendments that I've put forward on Nellis. And see, share my screen. Go there, share, and it looks like I'm good. So we can see that, yes? Okay. So esports, this commission would sanction and provide very light touch regulation to esports competitions, which is a contest of multiplayer video games. Viewers participate and participants are either in person or online through very popular online services such as YouTube and Twitch. It's one of the fastest growing markets in sports and entertainment, both here domestically and internationally. Total esports viewership is expected to grow at a 9% compound annual growth rate between 2019 and 2023, up from 454 million viewers in 2019 to 646 million a couple of years from now. Then if you look at just digital ad revenue alone in the US for esports, it's grown to a $225.8 million revenue stream in the industry. So there are businesses, both large and small, operating a competitive sport that is both vertically integrated within publishers, as well as a distributed infrastructure where IP is licensed out and tournament organizers run those competitions. Video publishers create these games, they own and license their IP, and this will in no way change that or their control. Tournament organizers create events that are both large and small. They fill stadiums around the world and smaller events as well. They do it under agreements with these publishers, and these are both professional and amateur events. Some leagues are owned by publishers under the vertically integrated structure. We'll hear a little bit more about it later, and they're created really to model similar to the NFL or Major League Baseball, where teams are franchised out. And like all sports, fans and casual players drive the industry. Game communities are critical to the success of esports and the growth of the industry overall. And the hope is that this commission will help continue to foster that growth and help it thrive even more. If you look at viewership, I'll be quick on this slide. Esports is immensely popular. The 2020 Game 6 of the NBA Finals here in the United States saw a domestic viewership of 5.6 million people. The 2015 League of Legends World Championship had 36 million viewers. That was 5 years ago. 2020 Game 6 of the World Series had 12.6 million viewers. And you see the numbers to the right. I believe that final number of 60 million unique viewers has actually been surpassed at this point. This is an incredibly popular sport all over the world, and both online and in person. Revenue is significant. Revenue growth in the industry is projected up to $1.6 billion by 2024. And it's an industry that employs a lot of people. Between 2015 and 2019, the job postings in esports on Indeed.com grew by 343%. And we're doing something unique. This is a new idea. This would be the first of its kind commission. And the goal is to, again, work with industry to do something new and help them in ways that they deem necessary. So the bill, at its most basic form, and I'll walk through it again in more detail at the end of the presentation, creates an Esports Commission appointed by the governor to 4-year terms with expertise in various areas and an executive director who will not be a member of the commission, but will work full-time to ensure that it thrives. So with that, Chair Scheibel, I would like to introduce my first speaker, and that is someone who has been widely known on the internet and is the deadliest man on the internet. Las Vegas resident Jonathan Wendell is more commonly known as Fatality. He became a professional gamer in 1999 and went on to international stardom, really being the first star of competitive gaming. He's won 12 world championships in 5 different games. He's been featured on 60 Minutes, MTV, Forbes, the New York Times, and now the Nevada State Senate Judiciary. So I'd like to turn it over to John.
Sure, go ahead. And I'd also like the secretary to reflect for the record that Vice Chair Canizaro joined us during Senator Kiekefer's presentation. Mr. Wendell.
Thank you for having me today, Senator and the committee. My name is Jonathan Wendell. I'm better known as Fatality, as Ben said. Basically I travel around the world playing video games and kind of lived this virtual life of playing video games for I've been in esports for over 2 decades now. I started in 1999, and I kind of want to get some color on what it's like to be a professional gamer and, kind of some of my stories along the way. Obviously in 1999, I went to my very first tournament. I had to make a handshake deal with my dad to even go to my very first professional tournament. I ended up saving up about $500, drove to Texas to compete down there. And I won $4,000 that weekend playing video games, which I thought was amazing because it took me all summer to make that back when I was 18. But basically after that, I started getting invited to travel around the world to play video games. I had companies call me up, asking me to go to Sweden to represent USA as one of the top players out of the United States. I went to Sweden and represented USA there and won 18 games straight, losing 0. You know, there was a lot of sponsors in the scene back then at the very beginning of esports. And I would walk up to these sponsors and ask them to sponsor me. And they were like, well, why would we sponsor you? And I would say, well, I'm the best in the world. And it was, the guy laughed at it and he liked my confidence. Well, they were also sponsoring a tournament that summer in Dallas, Texas. I says, well, wouldn't it be great if I was wearing your brand while I compete in the tournament? And we met in Chicago at the airport at the baggage claim, and he says, okay, we'll sponsor you. And basically that's kind of how I started, you know, making a salary as a sponsored gamer, but also winning, I think a little over $100,000 my first year as a professional gamer as an 18, 19-year-old kid. I went on to compete in South Korea and won the gold medal there in Seoul. Traveled to all over Europe, been to every continent besides Antarctica to play video games. And it's been kind of a surreal lifestyle to play video games for a living and just, you know, live this lifestyle. So for over a decade, I was the highest earning player in esports. And my initiatives today are to help grow esports more and to always put esports in the best light. That's what I've always done through all the media outlets I've been able to partake in. And yeah, I'm just really excited about, you know, obviously I moved to Vegas. I've been a resident here for over 12 years now. I live here on the Strip, and just a big fan of Las Vegas and Nevada in general. And just honored to be here to shine light on esports for you all and look forward to being supportive.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. If I may, Chair Scheibel, I'd like to now move over to sort of someone who can represent a different segment of this industry, and that's Las Vegas resident Paul Hamilton. Some of you may know Paul. He's the CEO of Greenspun Corporation, but for our purposes today, he is also the co-owner, president, and general manager of the Atlanta Reign and the Atlanta FaZe, which are franchises for the Overwatch and Call of Duty leagues that are run by the publisher Activision Blizzard. So Paul, why don't you go ahead when you're ready. And unmute yourself, man.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. As Senator Kiekefer pointed out, I've probably taken the least sort of obvious route to esports. My family moved here when I was 2 years old, so raised here, gone to school here. And about 15 years ago, launched a company here in Las Vegas called Province. It's now one of the largest boutique restructuring firms in the world. Fast forward, became partners and CEO with the Greenspun family and the Greenspun Corporation in American Nevada. And fast forward further, became partners with the Cox family and the Greenspun family in esports. As the senator pointed out, we've invested about $100 million across a couple of esport platform franchises, as well as into the ecosystem, with the idea of making further investment into the space. As the senator's slide showed, and you could literally run 100 slides in a row that would sort of blow your mind in terms of growth, both revenue, eyeballs, et cetera. It only takes Googling it and you'll see sort of the growth and something that's pretty counterintuitive, esports, at least to people that are my age. You know, who would want to watch somebody play a video game? That just seems silly, but it's really akin to when we were growing up and, you know, I wanted to watch Jordan play basketball and still like watching, you know, basketball. And so esports at the highest level, the difficulty, the difference between Jonathan and a regular fan is the delta between Michael Jordan and myself playing basketball. And so esports has sort of created this culture that goes along with it that has created an environment of huge fans, and not just fans, but a lifestyle in the way that, our kids and then our kids' kids will consume content. There will be a world where, when my grandchildren are growing up, they probably have no idea what a TV is. There will just be a box on the wall that you stream digital everything to, or they're just streaming it in their lap. That's happening now as we speak. So that being said, just from what you've heard from me, and then, looking around at the owners that exist in the league that I'm in, they include, the likes of Bob Kraft and Stan Kroenke, and sort of some real world regular sports veterans exist across the space in the Activision published titles. My goal in testifying here today is that I believe that Vegas is the greatest city in the world, and especially when you look at what we're capable of in terms of hosting events and sort of making sports like the UFC. The UFC and esports aren't common, other than they have a hardcore fan base, and esports needs significantly less regulation than something wherein people are punching each other in the face and it's super physical. That being said, my goal is to create an environment where Las Vegas becomes the sort of esports mecca. If your game is big enough and your title is big enough and you get to hold an event in Las Vegas, that you've sort of really arrived. But then, the pivot to that is that esports doesn't need Las Vegas the way that other things have historically. And so I think part of this is making the effort to show the world and the esports community how authentic Las Vegas can be, and how much we can embrace esports as a culture and a gaming system in a competitive world. And I think with the right amount of work, the senator's bill is very, very timely. We're seeing other cities extend significant olive branches to the esports community, both in tax credits and sort of just across the board. Again, knowing that this is sort of the next big thing. And in this case, I don't know that this big thing is going anywhere other than up. I don't expect it to level off anytime soon. I sort of expect it to continue to evolve into a lifestyle. And it's just what many, many of our kids and our grandkids want to consume and want to watch. And if we could sort of become the epicenter for, a grandparent or a parent bringing their child, coming here to go see shows or things that they want to see, and at the same time having something that their children may want to see, or even, I'm saying children, but I think our average fan in our game is about 27 years old, 50% more well-educated, 60% more affluent. It's really a pretty significant sort of tourist that we would be looking to draw to the state. So I'm excited, and I think the senator has the right idea. I think, the goal here is to not put up so many guardrails that we prohibit esports from coming or scare people away, but to show the publishers and the public that we understand it in a way that we can help make it better, bring it here, and cast it in the biggest light possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And then, Chair Scheibel, finally, the last person I'd like to speak as a formal part of the presentation is Lisa Motley. She is, I don't want to get your title wrong, Lisa. You are the Director of Sports and Marketing and Special Events for the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. She's also a member of the Nevada Esports Alliance, which is a group that I looked to very early in this process for advice and counsel, and she was on one of those initial calls. She brings with her an expertise not just on the role that esports can play, but on tourism generally and sports tourism into Las Vegas. So I will turn it over to Lisa.
Good afternoon, Chair Scheibel, committee members. For the record, I am Lisa Motley, and I do hold the role of Director of Sports Marketing and Special Events for the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. As you know, the mission of the LVCVA is to attract visitors by promoting Las Vegas as the world's most desirable destination for business and leisure travel, while generating economic opportunities for our community. We recognize that sports, special events, and esports are going to be a main focus for tourism marketing over the next several years, and we look forward to expanding our reputation as a sports capital of the world, as well as an esports hub, or Mecca, as Paul mentioned earlier. Sports, which we define as encompassing esports, is definitely one of Las Vegas's priorities, and has been one segment that has been incredible to witness grow and develop over the last few years. Las Vegas is the only city that has actually evolved to host people. No other city has a combination of 150,000 hotel rooms and 14 million square feet of convention space. We've long been home to the top destination for champion sporting events, including the National Finals Rodeo, baseball winter meetings with Major League Baseball, UFC, USA Basketball, the PGA Shriners Hospitals for Children Open. We host 4 NCAA major conference postseason basketball tournaments, which are happening right now, boxing, the Rock and Roll Marathon, and more. But we are witnessing a renaissance in sports in Las Vegas as we have introduced 5 professional leagues in the last few years: the NFL, the NHL, USL, WNBA, and the AHL. Las Vegas continues to be a thriving, fast-growing, vibrant city that always has something new. The LVCVA, along with our resort partners, spur growth by constantly evolving new concepts, bringing in unique events, and providing guests reasons to visit the destination. We are called the sports and entertainment capital of the world for good reason, and all the ever-changing entertainment offerings play a huge impact in driving tourism and economic impact for the destination. The foundation that has been laid has primed Las Vegas for the evolution into the esports tourism space, not just from participant-driven events, but also the lucrative B2B or business-to-business segment to host trade shows and conventions aimed at technology-based corporations. Over the past few years, Las Vegas has invested more than $18 billion in capital projects, either that are completed or currently underway. That includes the $1.8 billion, 65,000-seat Allegiant Stadium, the MSG Sphere, a joint venture between Madison Square Garden and Las Vegas Sands, which will be an 18,000-seat capacity venue, Resorts World, which will open in June of this year, a 3,500-room Asian resort experience, Circa, about an 800-room hotel that is the first hotel to be built in downtown Las Vegas since 1980, and that opened in October of this past year. And then the Las Vegas Convention Center expansion, which we're very excited about, adds 1.4 million square feet to our current facility and 600,000 square feet of new leasable exhibit space. So where does that go? Las Vegas is a growing hub for esports, and these facilities have all been built to include the most advanced technological offerings and have the ability to host esports content, whether again through participatory events or the lucrative business-to-business segment. We are also home to numerous state-of-the-art venues that can easily cater to the esports enthusiast, including the HyperX Arena at Luxor, the new Caesars Forum Conference Center, Caesars Entertainment Studios, Area 15, Blackfire Innovations at UNLV, MGM Grand Garden, T-Mobile Arena, Orleans Arena, and more. We are also home to several international esports professional teams. Plus, Twitch has signed on as their live streaming video platform. They will be the official streaming partner for the Las Vegas Raiders at the Allegiant Stadium. Esports is obviously a great fit for Las Vegas, whether hosting a live competition or B2B conference. Pre-COVID in 2019, Las Vegas welcomed 42.5 million visitors. In 2009, we welcomed 36.3 million. Therefore, over the course of the last decade, we were able to increase visitation by 14%, or approximately 6.2 million visitors. This is due not only in fact to the fact that we've expanded the number of hotel rooms, but we are attracting the types of attractions and events, including esports, to Las Vegas. Esports programming allows the destination to attract not only a newer audience, but provides an enticing backdrop for the B2B vertical. The LVCVA is a research-based organization, and therefore we are unable to speculate on how various elements could impact future tourism, but we are optimistic that by expanding our reputation as an esports destination, both new and repeat visitors will have more reasons than ever to visit Vegas. When the LVCVA prospects event program for the destination, the factors we take into the greatest account are the time of the year of the event, the number of out-of-town participants or attendees, and the potential impact the event will have outside of that main venue. For example, when we host marquee events, we not only look at the impact that event will have on the host venue, but we work closely and secure ancillary events that can include expos or clinics, youth development opportunities, live entertainment, and other programming that will totally make this a citywide true event. In recent years, we've also been involved in the addition of esports programming to existing marquee events like NASCAR, Las Vegas Bowl, Mountain West Conference Basketball Tournament, and our Shriners PGA Tournament. The hope there is to introduce not only the event to the world of to not only introduce the attendees to the world of esports, but provide a younger audience to make the connection between live stick and ball sports and what the future could hold for sports. So the allure to a destination like Las Vegas is the variety of programming that takes place year long. The flexibility of the esports schedule allows Las Vegas to place event and trade show driven content into our already robust calendar of events and driving incremental visitation throughout the year. In closing, the LVCVA is excited for the future of Las Vegas tourism and generating economic growth and opportunities through sports, events, and again, esports. We are committed to esports playing a role in our initiatives and believe the Esports Commission will greatly increase our ability to deliver on our mission locally and globally that Vegas means business. I appreciate your time today, and I'm happy to field any questions should they occur.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate that. Chair, at this point, I'm prepared to walk specifically through the bill if that is what you would like.
Yes, please do.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with, frankly, the preamble. If you look at the top of page 2, there are several whereases, as I like to say, up at the top. And this is to focus the legislative intent of this bill, particularly as it relates to promoting the growth of esports and partnering with this industry to help grow tourism to Nevada. I wanted to include that at the top of the bill because I thought it was incredibly important to have that lens by which we focus our consideration of what we're doing. So it is truly an economic development bill that is focused on growth for industry and state. And I think it's an important lens as we continue to go through it. Thank you. So sections 2 through 7 of the bill are the definitions as you will see them. Section 8 Section 8 itself creates the Nevada Esports Commission. And while originally drafted as a 3-member body, I believe that through all the conversations I've had, the general consensus is that this would be more appropriate to expand to a 5-member panel that would bring more voices to the table, that would provide the opportunity for more input from different segments of the industry and greater diversity. So if you look at the proposed conceptual amendments that I've submitted to the committee and are available on Nellis, that certainly is one of them. And in Section 8, I'm also proposing that we strike subsection 3. I believe this prohibition in subsection 3 on commissioners having any investment or interest in esports would be far too restrictive in who the governor could potentially recruit to serve on this volunteer position. So if you combine expanding this body to 5 members with the understanding that it must follow all of our open meeting laws and ethics rules and disclosures and recusal rules, that eliminating this provision would serve in the best interest of creating a commission that can meet the needs of the state. So Section 9 lays out additional qualifications for the commissioners. I would also recommend amendments to these qualifications, and specifically, I think we should expand subsection 3 from 1 to 3 commissioners who have experience in esports. And I would also generalize subsections 4 and 5 so that we retain some information or some knowledge of information technology in one and law enforcement of the other, but perhaps make it so that they're not as specific to esports. My fear is that if we make these too specific and too hard and fast of qualifications, our ability to recruit commissioners would be severely undermined, and we would be working against ourselves. Section 10 of the bill, there on page 3, right in the middle, starting at line 18, outlines the governor's appointment process. It's a full-time, both to the commission in section 10, and then below that, in section 11, it's the governor's appointment of a full-time executive director position. I think it's critical that we create this position in-house as a full-time, a sort of high-level position. housed within the Department of Business and Industry to run the day-to-day operations of the commission and do the work that is going to be necessary to stand it up. It's this position and the associated costs that are primarily responsible for the fiscal note that is attached to the bill and that will have to be dealt with in another committee. If you move on, down on line 38 of page 3, section 12, permits this executive director to seek out and accept gifts, grants, and donations to support the commission and creates a special account in the general fund to deposit any such revenue raised. Moving on to page 4 of the bill, section 13 gives specific authority to the Nevada Esports Commission to sanction events and esports athletes in Nevada, similar to the authority created for the Nevada Athletic Commission to sanction fights and fighters. This section was drafted to require sanctioning for any event or with a purse over $1,000. I think this is another space that we need to make an amendment and to remove that monetary threshold and leave such a decision over sanctioning to the discretion of the commission. There is a lot of nuance over some of these events, different types of events, different purse sizes, amateur, professional, collegiate. And I think that any effort by this legislature to try to put into statute what the confines are just wouldn't be appropriate at this time because we frankly do not have the subject matter expertise in esports that that would make us the appropriate decider of such things. So with the commission retaining control of that, I think they'd be able to capture some of the nuance that is existing in the industry. Section 15 of the bill specifically outlines the regulatory authority of the commission, and specifically it requires the commission to promulgate regulations related to both integrity, enforcement, qualifications of registrants and participants, drug testing, and venue oversight. All of this is included so that the commission can work with industry to create policies and guidelines that ensure fair play, competition, integrity, and confidence in events and their outcomes. I should say as well that in section 15, I think this is an area where we're probably need to have some additional debate over what these regulations should include and some of the nuance that exists in the industry right now needs to be considered. And to do that, the commission shouldn't act alone. So along with the conceptual amendments I've submitted, I'm proposing that the commission be required to create a technical advisory committee consisting of industry experts from various parts of the esports ecosystem, including publishers, event organizers, broadcasters, players, teams, judges, and anybody else the commission deems appropriate. These should be individuals from inside companies that are actively working in esports. They can live either inside or outside of Nevada, as long as they have the technical expertise necessary to aid the commission in its responsibilities. Finally, Chair Scheibel, section 16, section 16 makes it a misdemeanor crime to violate the provisions of this bill or the regulations promulgated by the commission. I've heard concerns from our friends, Mr. Pirro and Ms. Birchie, regarding this provision, and I tend to agree. I'm not exactly sure why we would want to make this a misdemeanor, and I'm happy to make changes to that. And then, my final proposed amendment, Chair and Committee, is to extend the effective date of this bill. Let's give it a little bit more runway to do its work. And if you look in section 17, subsection 2, paragraph B, which is the second effective date, I think we should push that out to at least July 1st of 2022, so that the commission has a full year to do the work that it needs to do to get set up and get up and running. So that is my bill, along with my proposed amendments. Chair Scheibel, committee, I stand ready to answer any questions you might have, as I know my co-presenters are as well. So thank you for your time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day to give us that comprehensive overview. And I will go ahead and call on senators to ask questions, starting with Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Amazing presentation, and I don't think you left any stone unturned. I guess I'm getting really old because I remember when Las Vegas was known for scantily clad showgirls. I didn't realize that the E-world is taking over here. The only question I have on it, I assume betting's involved. And if it is, should the Gaming Control Board or the Gaming Commission have any oversight? Or where do you see the interlink between this new Esports Commission and the existing ones dealing with gambling and gaming issues?
Thank you, Chair Scheibel, to you and through you to Senator Hansen.
You can go direct.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So that is, look, I have worked really hard to make sure that we keep issues over gambling and esports really separate in this process. This is, I don't believe this bill, and certainly the intent is not in any way to tread upon the authority of either the Gaming Control Board or the Nevada State Gaming Commission, because they have the oversight of gambling in our state. And while there is gambling that happens on esports, this bill does not touch that. The wagers are currently permitted in Nevada on esports events. It is something that occasionally happens, but this bill does not touch that, nor do I intend it to. I think the Esports Commission should be focused on the competitions themselves, much like the Nevada State Athletic Commission is focused on the competitions in unarmed combat. And then let Gaming Control and the Nevada State Gaming Commission handle anything related to gambling.
Very good. Seems like a very well thought out idea, and it's, you know, a whole new frontier basically for the state of Nevada. So sounds great. And Madam Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Pickard, go ahead with your question.
Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Jen with Broadcast. We are having an issue with the broadcast going video out to the public. Would it be possible to take just a few moments so we could troubleshoot that on our end and get it corrected?
Of course, we will take a 1-minute recess and we'll be back at the call of the chair.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Chair, committee, thank you for your patience. I do apologize again for the interruption, but we are all set again, and you may restart the meeting.
Thank you so much. I will call this meeting of the Nevada State Senate Judiciary Committee back to order on Wednesday, March 17th. And we again thank Senator Kiekefer for his presentation on SB 165, as well as his three co-presenters. We were taking questions from members of the committee, and it was Senator Picker's turn to ask a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. And I appreciate this bill. I really like the idea of getting out in front of this, becoming a magnet to these types of events. Senator Hansen asked my first question, which had to do with the gaming. And there's always that overlap of integrity where we know we have known gaming on any particular event. And so while I certainly agree that we should be making sure that the regulations and the commission itself is operating independently as the athletic commission, I think that's an excellent example from the gaming commission and the gaming control board. There does need to be some interaction, some overlap, because integrity is found on both sides of that equation. With that in mind, I was surprised by the proposed amendment and your explanation where we are ostensibly allowing active market participants to be on the commission. I don't believe, but maybe there are. Can you tell me, are there similar market participants, people that are actively financially involved in say the athletics that the athletic commission is doing, or are there any commissions that allow active participants to be overseeing their own operations?
Thank you for the question, Senator Pickard, Senator Ben Kiekefer, for the record. And I'd have to look specifically at the at each individual board, but our professional licensing boards are always thoroughly populated with people who have a vested interest in those industries, right? The contractors board is made up of contractors, the dental board is made up of dentists, and so on and so forth. And I think what's important to remember about esports as compared to maybe gaming is that we don't have necessarily in state the robust, robust availability of people who used to work in the industry, who have expertise, who may be retired, who may have moved on to a different profession. And I think it's important to capture people who have real world experience so that they can provide the best service to the state. And this is an industry that is changing, that changes quickly, and the need for people who are actively engaged, who will be able to stay up on all of those changes, is critically important. So I recognize it's a significant change, but I think that for the purposes of populating the commission with people who are of the highest level, it's an important.
And I appreciate that. And I would certainly believe that the active participants should be participating in the technical advisory committee. But unlike, this environment, contractors and dentists don't, at least I'm not aware of any gambling that's being done on their work, other than the patient who may be sitting in their chair, or the consumer that they're being, the building's being built for. I don't see the kind of risk that we would have where we've got active market participants policing their own operations. I have a little bit of trouble with that just from the integrity side of this, but I certainly understand the idea that we probably don't have experienced regulators available. That then raises the question, are they available anywhere, not just in Nevada? Are they available anywhere? Are they people we could recruit to Nevada in order to avoid that apparent conflict.
Thank you again, Ben Kiekefer, for the record, to Senator Pickard. The concept of seating people on the Nevada Esports Commission who are not Nevadans has been discussed. I think that I prefer sort of this method rather than the other side of that coin, as you suggest. But I think that we can continue to have that conversation. I think the idea of the technical advisory committee is to sort of get the best of both worlds, right? Where you have Nevadans who serve on the Nevada Commission, and the technical expertise that's available across the world would be then at our disposal to populate the advisory.
Sure, and I appreciate that, and I agree. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you for your indulgence.
Of course. Next, we will move to Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. I was just curious, with the other boards that we have around, have we gone to more of a concept where we allow the board to set the fee entirely, or do most of the other boards have a cap that we traditionally then come back just to kind of make sure we have the ability to guide that particular entity over time, make sure they don't get a little bit too far over their skis in that nature? So I probably don't have the answer readily available. Maybe legal or somebody could just do a little research for me to tell me if that's common, that there's a cap, or is it just you let them establish the fees?
Yeah, thank you, Ben Kiekefer, for the record. Senator Settlemyre, I think we would do both. But I again get back to the intent of this legislation, which is to attract people to Nevada. And usually when you tax or fee something, you get less of it. So the idea would be to keep this as friendly to recruit people to the state than the opposite.
Thank you for that, Senator. Thank you, Chair.
Mm-hmm. And Senator Harris.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. My question centers around the requirements to be on this board. I know that you made a couple of amendments to, kind of open up the board and remove the requirement that you not be involved in the industry. I was wondering if you could explain a little bit about why limiting it to citizens of the United States.
Thank you for the question, Senator Harris. Senator Kiekefer, for the record, and I don't have an answer for that. That was how it was drafted by LCB, and I think you raise an interesting point that maybe we should consider amending that part out and just making them residents of the state.
Thank you.
All right. I also have a couple of questions, and the first one is about the suggested amendment to increase the board or the commission from 3 members to 5 members. If we're concerned about being able to find people who don't have a financial interest in the industry, and that's, so we're removing that requirement, but then we're also expanding the board. That was just seemed contradictory to me. Either there are lots of people who are qualified and we want to include more of them, or it's a very select group and we can limit it to just those 3. So can you kind of explain why the expansion to 5?
Sure. Thank you, Ben Kiekefer, for the record. Chair Scheibel, I think, it's to, develop the most robust pool of potential commissioners that we can find. But also that if we strike the requirement that that a commissioner cannot have any even investment in esports, then a 3-member body can get pretty tricky pretty quickly when you talk about disclosure and recusal. So I think you need to have a large enough commission where commissioners can recuse themselves from votes if required and necessary to uphold the integrity of the process, and still have a functioning body. So I don't think 5 is too large, but I do think 3 is probably too small when you remove it.
Okay. And my next question, I'm just going to cut to the chase and try to understand, how does the commission make money?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ben Kiekefer, for the record. To Chair Scheibel, The commission itself can generate, can charge fees for registering events and things like that. So I think the hope would that it would ultimately become a break-even, self-sufficient type of structure. But I think for the state, right, the prospect of drawing hundreds of thousands of new visitors to our state through some of the biggest competitive sporting events in the world brings revenue opportunities for the state of Nevada in an entirely new way. And whether that's sales tax, room nights, all of those sorts of things that are associated with it, live entertainment tax on these events for spectators. That's all benefit to the state from a revenue perspective. The initial fiscal note for the commission expects that we would have to fund this primarily the one position and the associated operating costs with general fund over the initial biennium. And hopefully, if it functions as intended and we're able to bring events to the state, that fee revenue would make this self-sufficient in future years. But the commission itself is not designed to make money, right? It's designed to attract business to the state, which will be an economic benefit to our entire community.
I guess I'm just not understanding why we would spend $500,000 creating a new commission to do this instead of having one of our established tourism boards, commissions, or agencies do more promotion of Las Vegas as a place for esports competitions and tourism.
Yeah, fair question. And I appreciate that. And if one of my co-presenters wants to jump in, I feel like I've been dominating this. I apologize. But I think there's a difference between just the promotional aspect of what we do, which LVCVA does really, really well, right? And which we should continue to support. And the structure that can be created through a body that has some teeth to it when it comes to ensuring fair play, that the competitions are on an equal playing field, that the outcomes are confident, and that can then potentially enforce rules that need to be done. So that if we create that type of ecosystem that will then attract events and players, then it's net positive outside of just the promotion of it. It gives us, I guess, in some ways, something else to promote, right? That this would be not just a great place to do your events because we have all of the infrastructure, but we also have the infrastructure in place to ensure that the event has the highest of standards.
Okay, I get that. I guess I'm just still confused about why we think that a currently unregulated industry would attract more participants with regulation. So can you give me another example of a legal industry where we implemented regulations and suddenly more people came to the place where it was regulated as opposed to staying in places where it was unregulated?
Yeah, Ben Kiekefer, for the record. Mixed martial arts is a perfect example, right? And so I talked to Mark Ratner last week. Mark, if you don't know, was the executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission for a long time, and then moved on to UFC and works in-house there now. And he told me when he was the executive director of the Athletic Commission, he was wildly resistant to UFC. And then the Fertittas bought it, and they ran towards regulation and started working with industry to create some standardization and some rules that they would follow, and it's been a wildly successful venture for them. The Fertittas decided to run towards regulation rather than away from it, and we know that the success that it had for them. So that's one example, and I think you raise a really important question, right? Why would creating this type of body attract people when it could be the Wild West somewhere else and they can do whatever? And offering that value to the publishers and to the tournament organizers is a critical piece of this. And I think that there are a number of different things that we can bring to the table, whether it's protecting IP, right, and enforcing that unlicensed people are not using their IP either inappropriately or without their licensing, whether it's the upholding integrity standards as it relates to age and all of those things. So there are a lot of publishers that have all of these rules in place for their events that they run. There are really sophisticated processes in place, both in the vertically integrated and diversified space in tournament organization. But I think the potential of potentially putting it under one roof and being able to default to the state for some of that can add long-term value if it's done properly and in a way that the industry, or in a way where the state recognizes the industry's needs and concerns. So it's a delicate balance, right? And I certainly don't want to scare people away because that would be antithetical to the intent. So if that's where we get, right? If we get to a place where this is going to have the opposite effect, then we shouldn't do it.
All right, thank you. And it looks like Senator Orenshaw also has a question. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Kiekefer, for bringing the bill. Two questions with your indulgence, one for Senator Kiekefer or whoever cares to answer it, and the other, I saw Mr. Burnett, and my question, I think his expertise in regulating gaming in Nevada would be the answer. Right now, does the Nevada Athletic Commission regulate any esports, or is it completely unregulated in Nevada? That's my first question, Chair. And then my second question is, I think Senator Hansen talked about betting on esports in Nevada, and Senator Kiekefer says it currently happens. I just wondered, Mr. Burnett could describe kind of what happens now. Is it at sports books? And how does he envision it changing if this passes and we have an esports commission in terms of people placing wagers on esports in Nevada? So thank you for your indulgence, Chair.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but it looks like we are still having again some technical difficulties. So I'm going to ask that we again take a brief recess. Senator Orenshaw, hold on to that question because I'm going to ask you to repeat it when we come back if it's more than about 60 seconds. And we will be now in recess.
Thank you again for your patience, Chair, committee, guests. Our apologies. Looks like we've got it resolved again. You may restart the meeting one more time.
All right. We will call this meeting back to order. We are now out of recess, and in the Senate Judiciary Committee, we are still hearing SB 165. We are in the process of taking questions from members of the committee. It was Senator Orenshaw's turn. Presenters, do you need him to repeat the question? Chair
Scheibel, this is Ben Kiekefer. I don't think so. I've invited former Gaming Control Board Chair A.G. Burnett to participate in the hearing as a potential subject matter expert on the gaming side, knowing that this committee oversees that topic and questions might pop up. So I thought it would be useful to have someone with his expertise available to answer questions. And if you'd like the question posed again, and if you'd like to invite Mr. Burnett in, that's at your discretion.
Good afternoon, Chair Scheibel, members of the committee. My name is A.G. Burnett. You know me as the former chairman of the Nevada State Gaming Control Board, and now I'm a partner at the law firm of McDonald Carano. Senator Orenshaw, thank you for the question, and it's great to see you, by the way. To answer your question, some years ago, circa, I want to say 2015 to 16 timeframe, then Governor Sandoval called the Gaming Policy Committee together, which is a committee that's comprised of industry and legislators, as you know, including the regulators. And one of the topics that was discussed was wagering on esports. And specifically, the question was whether Nevada sports books should be allowed to take wagers on esporting events. And as everyone on the committee knows, we hold very sacred our gaming regulatory system. And we did not want to allow our sports books to hold wagering types of activities around events that may not be suitable. That committee unanimously decided that allowing our sports books to take wagers on esports events was something that was a positive. Regulated sports betting is conducted in a safe and open fashion in Nevada, highly regulated. And since then, there have been wagers taken by our Nevada sports books on esports events. The process for doing that, Senator, is it's technically deemed an other event under Nevada Gaming Commission Regulation Reg 22, whereby the sports betting operator, the sports book, licensed gaming operator, makes an application to the Gaming Control Board. The Gaming Control Board reviews the application, takes a look at the event, and there's a laundry list of requirements that the event has to meet in order for the book to be approved to take wagering on that event. Things such as fairness of the match, integrity of the match, known outcome that is verifiable by independent third parties. Those kinds of guardrails are in place. And that's the process that's been used up until now. And of course, I would anticipate that that would be the process going forward. As Senator Kiekefer mentioned, I'd emphasize that this is completely different from gaming. And this is something that betting is already going on in regard to in Nevada in a licensed fashion, and then outside of the state of Nevada in other jurisdictions in the rest of the world in potentially a non-regulated fashion. Does that answer your question, Senator?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Burnett. Thank you, Chair Scheibel, and thank you, Senator Kiekefer.
Thank you.
And I see that we have another question from Senator Hansen. We're running a little bit short on time, but not too short. So I will give you a second bite at the apple as long as it's not too big a bite.
It's short and sweet. To AJ, actually. AJ, you still there?
I am here, Senator. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. I served on that policy committee back in 2015. I remember well because I've never felt more over my head in my entire life. I don't think I said one word the entire time we were there. The only question I have about this is, I think the whole concept's wonderful. Are there other examples, though, where you have an industry like, say, boxing, which is covered by a separate commission, that any of the betting processes or gambling or however you want to phrase it falls under the jurisdiction still of the Gaming Control Board? Because it sounds like, if I'm understanding this right, with the esport concept, there'll be a regulatory commission, but any kind of betting would still fall under the jurisdiction of gaming and either the control board or the commission.
Yes.
Other examples in Nevada law right now that would be very similar to this setup, if I'm understanding it correctly?
Chair Scheibel, through you to Senator Hansen, thank you for the question. A.G. Burnett again for the record. And by the way, Senator Hansen, you were never in over your head and you were always great to work with. In Nevada, the regulation of any activity that is deemed to be wagering in any way, shape, or form is always regulated only by the Nevada Gaming Control Board and Gaming Commission. So when someone wants to take a wager related to anything, whether it's a baseball game, football game, basketball game, or an esports event, that is always conducted through licensed gaming operators. And I may not understand your question correctly, so I apologize in advance. This commission, as I understand it, would be merely, for lack of a better term, an olive branch to the entire esports industry to bring as many large-scale esports events to the state, just like boxing does, in a way. So you would have hopefully large-scale events like you do with MMA and boxing, but for esports. While on the side, if there's any gaming going on regarding that, it's always highly regulated by the Nevada Gaming Control Board and Commission.
Okay, so in other words, it's just like the systems we have in place for
Exactly.
you just gave. So
yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And do we have any other questions from members of the committee? I am not seeing any, so we will go to testimony in support of SB 165. Each person will get 2 minutes to testify, and if Mr. Kyle would please open up the lines for that testimony now.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. To testify in support on Senate Bill 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, to testify in support on SB 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 081, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. This is Dylan Keith, Keith, with the Vegas Chamber. We are in support of this bill because we believe that economic diversity is incredibly important, especially after the recent pandemic. We think that this commission will legitimize esports in Nevada, attracting a younger and new demographic of tourists, as well as attracting visitors from all over the world to Las Vegas and Nevada. This diversification of our tourism industry creates a new base and new opportunities. Along with this, the Esports Commission will provide oversight and regulations, providing a more legitimate base for this operation, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And as a reminder, if you've just joined our call, we are currently on support testimony for Senate Bill 165. If you'd like to provide support testimony, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 265. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Then slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Christopher Laporte, LAPorte. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Senator Kiekefer, the panel, and the Senate Judiciary Committee for the leadership of this initiative. SB 165, with the discussed amendments, has my full support. I've been involved in the esports space here in Las Vegas since 2005. 10 years ago, I owned a video game lounge in downtown Las Vegas, a small business venture that enjoyed revenues up to $4 million annually that attracted local populations as well as international audiences. Today, that same video game industry is valued at $180 billion, 4 times what it was when insert coins opened. And esports represents a significant piece of this massive global market. To maintain our title of the entertainment capital of the world, we must embrace the world of video gaming and esports. SB 165 is a great first step to diversifying our amenities for both our local businesses and our tourist economy. In 2003, a small community supported the Las Vegas Wranglers. Today, that community investment created the Las Vegas Golden Knights. If we embrace esports today and build a foundation for a significant partnership in this burgeoning esports industry in need of regulation, we will succeed. I thank you all again for your outstanding vision for Nevada.
Thank you, caller. If you've recently joined us, we're currently on support testimony for Senate Bill 165. If you'd like to provide support testimony, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits, 888. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. Then slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
For the record, I am Virginia Valentine, Virginia Valentine, President of the Nevada Resort Association. Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, and committee members. I represent the Nevada Resort Association and more than 76 resort hotels across the state. I speak today in support of SB 165 and thank Senator Kiekefer for his work on the bill. We're very excited about the prospects. Esports competitions are an emerging industry with significant growth potential. It's estimated that more than 5,000 esports tournaments were held globally in 2019 and attracted millions of viewers. Esports is well on its way to becoming a billion-dollar industry with legions of devoted fans. Prior to the pandemic, esports tournaments were gaining in popularity in Las Vegas and drawing visitors from around the world. The timing fits perfectly with the recovery of Nevada's tourism industry. The creation of an Esports Commission will validate esports competitions and ensure the integrity of games while attracting these large events and the economic activity that comes with them. And where better than Nevada to be the first to do this? Our gaming regulatory structure has long been viewed as the gold standard internationally and nationally, and has ensured the integrity of Nevada's largest industry. Modeling the Esports Commission after the Nevada Athletic Commission will establish Nevada as a leader in esports and give the state a competitive advantage in attracting these high-profile events. Thank you, Chair Scheibel and committee members for your time today. We're excited. We urge your support of SB 165. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Caller with the last three digits, 178. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. And then slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin. Once again, caller with the last three digits, 178, excuse me. Please.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Please spell your name for the record.
Right key. Thank you. My name is Sam McMullen V, or the fifth, spelled SAMMCMULLEN, Roman numeral 5. I'm the president of Geeks GG Inc., which is an esports community platform and a Nevada-based company that supports a growing audience of millions of student gamers, their organizations, and their community groups at more than 1,500 colleges and universities, and growing across the United States. We work closely with UNLV, Blackfire Innovation, and recently we were awarded the Catalyst Grant from UNLV and Blackfire under sports research. At Geeks, we seek to make play matter. And as such, my team and I are strongly in support of Senate Bill 165. Chair Scheibel and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today in support of SB 165. First, let me recognize the great work of Senator Kiekefer in recognizing and bringing this very important issue forward. Nevada is at the forefront of this industry, and if done correctly, Nevada will be recognized as the gold standard for esports. I, myself, have been involved with the video gaming and esports industries during my undergraduate studies at the University of Southern California, and then after my graduation in 2001, all the way to the present. I have been fortunate during this time to have worked with closely and alongside many of the passionate and talented people who created and fostered the foundation on which this globally growing sport is built. Since 2015, I have been actively working to create a bridge between the global esports industry and Nevada. Senate Bill 165 establishes the framework and is a good first step. Done correctly, this will provide an economic boost to our state through the tourism that comes from attracting the best of the best to our great state. Esports will generate new tourism as well that will bring with it additional revenues and help with the quick recovery of our state after this pandemic. We are on the cusp of something great here, similar to where we were in the 1990s when, as a state, we reinvented ourselves and benefited off of the great expansion of our economy through tourism revenues and economic development. I urge your passage of Senate Bill 165. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on this important measure.
Thank you, caller. As a reminder, we are currently on support testimony for Senate Bill 165. If you'd like to provide support testimony this afternoon, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits, 941. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Hello, Senate Committee on Judiciary. This is Zach Conine, C-A-C-H, last name C-O-N-I-N-E. I have the pleasure of being your state treasurer. Just wanted to call and offer my support of this bill and to thank Senator Kiekefer and the other presenters for bringing it forward. Esports and the economic benefit from them have exploded in recent years. Nevada's history of effectively regulating contests of skill should put us in the pole position to take the benefit of it. We spend a lot of time discussing the best ways for our state to diversify our economy, to generate revenue, and to build the Nevada we all deserve. This bill moves us closer to the goal, and I urge your support. On a personal note, if the treasuring thing doesn't work out, I'm pretty good at Fortnite. Thank you all.
Thank you, caller. Caller with the last three digits, 748. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. And then slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes and may begin.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jennifer Verivi, spelled Jennnifer, V like Victor, E-R-I, V like Victor, E. Thank you very much, Senators and Madam Chair. I've never provided public comments. I'm rather excited and a little nervous. I'm calling in as a parent. So I am adjunct faculty at Western Nevada College. I'm in Senator Kiekefer's district, and I was really excited to see this bill. My daughter is 14-year-old. She's at Carson High School. She is an avid competitive gamer. And even though she is not an esport athlete, she may one day be. And I think as a parent of a super smart kid, that it's really important that our state take the lead in something like this. This bill serves to legitimize the kinds of things that are important to her and to so many of her peers and kids in her generation. And to the earlier comment on the bill from Mr. Hamilton, a lot of esports athletes are in fact kids. They're teenagers. They're high school kids, they may be college kids, and the oversight that this kind of commission could provide would be extremely valuable. And to some of the other senators' comments, this isn't something that is only affecting us in Nevada, it's affecting us in the United States and all over the world. And I would be so proud for my daughter to get to participate in a process that her state, where she was born, is leading the way. As a parent, I would feel better. And it would make what she does a real thing. You know, as an academic, I can share some research that shows that the average esport athlete chooses a STEM college career. That's what they want to pursue, is a STEM career, and they pick STEM majors. So these are smart kids that we're supporting and developing into adults that can benefit our state in so many ways. Thank you.
You caller. Caller with the last three digits, 332. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, then slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Andrew Diss. That's A-N-D-R-E-W-D-I-S-S. And I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs for Morello Gaming, which owns and operates the Sahara in Las Vegas and Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. I'm here to testify in support of SB 165, and I want to thank Senator Kiekefer for proactively reaching out to the gaming community to get our thoughts on the bill. Our company views esports as an opportunity that we'll be able to integrate into our live entertainment offerings, as well as incorporating into our wagering opportunities, which is why having robust integrity protections in place is so important. In Nevada, we know a thing or two about how to stand up effective commissions that bring increased oversight and integrity to fields like gaming, boxing, and mixed martial arts. And these are activities that bring millions of visitors to our state each year, and we believe that esports events will do the same. As Mr. Hamilton touched on his remarks, the average esports fan is 27 years old, which fits well into one of the largest demographics that we currently market to. And over the last year, as leagues and casinos have dealt with the impacts of COVID, we began to see an uptick in non-traditional events that were already being approved by Gaming Control for wagering. So as Mr. Burnett touched on in his remarks, this is something the state is already equipped to handle under Reg 22, and we expect to see this demand continue, and we support its growth. Thank you, Chair Scheibel. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, caller. And with that, Chair Scheibel, there are no more callers to give support testimony at this time.
All right, thank you so much to everybody who called in and testified. Thank you, Mr. Kyle, for your help. Let's move now to testimony in opposition.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on Senate Bill 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, to testify in opposition on Senate Bill 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 188. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Timothy Johnson, Johnsson. I'm testifying here today on behalf of the Entertainment Software Association. The Entertainment Software Association serves as the voice and advocate for the U.S. video game industry. ESA member companies are the publishers of many of the biggest titles used in esports games today. Earlier today, our government relations team had a very productive call with Senator Kiekefer. However, our members still have concerns with the bill as written, so we must oppose. However, we are committed to continuing to work with Senator Kiekefer to address these concerns. Primarily, our members' concerns relate to the application of the bill to the unique aspects of esports games, such as the presence of an underlying intellectual property. Additionally, our members who already take a number of steps to promote game integrity feel that if the regulations are overburdensome, it may have a chilling effect on the industry. We look forward to continuing the conversations with Senator Kiekefer regarding our concerns. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, for your time here today.
Thank you, caller. And as a reminder, we are currently on opposition testimony for Senate Bill 165. If you'd like to provide opposition testimony at this time, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. And Chair, at this time, there are no more callers to give opposition testimony.
Thank you. We will move then to testimony in the neutral position on SB 165.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. To testify in neutral on SB 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, to testify in neutral standing on Senate Bill 165, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 101. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
This is Terry Reynolds, Director for the Department of Business and Industry, TERRYREYNOLDS. Thank you for this opportunity to address this matter. The Department of Business and Industry concurs with the establishment of an Esports Commission and feels that this will greatly benefit the state of Nevada. As you probably know, business and industry regularly works with hotel, convention, and community properties on events, both professional and amateur. We have 23 boards and commissions that we oversee, 13 of which are professional regulatory boards. 6 years ago, actually approximately about 5.5 years ago, I worked with the Nevada Athletic Commission and then Senator Liparelli on restructuring the funding and operation of the Nevada Athletic Commission for the revenue, moving it from the general fund to a self-supporting organization. So we have about 6.5 years currently with the current staff in working with the Nevada Athletic Commission. The commission was moved under the Department of Administration, under the Governor's Finance Office, but we still regularly work with Mr. Bennett and the commission on their events, and we're working on several right now. So just wanted you to know that we have the experience and happy to answer any questions later on should they come up regarding the creation of professional boards and funding of the operation of the commission when that topic is addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And with that, Chair Scheibel, there are no more callers to give neutral testimony at this time.
All right. Thank you again for all of your help, Mr. Kyle. I will give it back to Senator Kiekefer briefly if you have any closing remarks or responses, but you don't have to.
Thank you, Chair Scheibel. I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank Timothy Johnson from the ESA, as well as all of the representative publishers that were on that call that he referenced this morning. This is certainly something that needs to be a partnership with industry. And I think we agreed that we need to continue to talk and have some more conversations about what that added value is that you and I discussed earlier, Chair, and ensure that we're on the same page so that we're doing something that can benefit everyone. But, you know, from where I sit and what I do in this building, it is about bringing more people to our state. It is about creating a technology ecosystem that is directly in line with our economic development plan, and to support the governor's proposal to bring remote work into our state in a new way. And I think that this is a bill that does all of those things. So I'm really excited about the prospect of what this can be. I'd like to thank Mr. Hamilton, Fatality, and Ms. Motley for joining me today. And I'll leave it at that, Chair.
All right. And Mr. Burnett, too. Thank you for answering our questions. And with that, I will close the hearing on SB 165. That takes us to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. Broadcast, is there anybody here to give public comment?
Thank you, Chair. If you'd like to provide public comment this afternoon, please press *9 now. Once again, to give public comment this afternoon, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 556, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak and may begin.
Anne Marie Grant, ANNEMARIE GRANT. My brother Thomas Purdy was 38 years old when he was hogtied for 40+ minutes by Reno police during a mental health crisis and then asphyxiated to death while still hogtied. In the prone position, my brother had been uncombative, unassaultive, unarmed, and simply asked for help. It's the little things I miss the most from my brother: a hug, a phone call, the way he was so protective of my son and would always make sure that nobody was bothering my son. I miss hearing him say, "I love you," at the end of our conversations. My brother was a father of 2 children who were 10, Joshua, and 8, Juliana, at the time when he was killed by police. I have to bear witness to the profound and detrimental effects it has had on their lives. I haven't slept over 3 solid hours a night since 10/4/2015. Can you try to imagine being a child and having to process that your parent was asphyxiated to death by the very police people you have been taught are there to protect us? Please support bills that promote transparency and accountability. Please do not support bills that provide any further protections to police than they already have in your peace officers' Bill of Rights. My family and so many other families are counting on you. Nevada had several George Floyds of its own, including my brother and the 2 other men, Justin Thompson and Nico Smith, who were also asphyxiated to death. A horrible, horrible, torturous way to die. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And with that, Chair Scheibel, there are no more callers to give public comment at this time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Grant, for your public comment, and thank you, Mr. Kyle, for helping us with the broadcast today. Thank you to everybody who came in and testified and presented bills, asked questions, answered questions. We really appreciate all of your participation. Couldn't do it without you. And with that, I will close the meeting. We will be meeting again tomorrow at the same time, 1 p.m. We are now adjourned.